Okay, Council, good afternoon again. We will call this meeting to order. This is a special council meeting to discuss the new hall. And I'll remind Council to please disclose of any pecuniary interests at the appropriate time. And we are going to go right to 4A, which is a verbal update from Teresa on the consulting services for the capital campaign feasibility study. So Teresa, take it away.
Thank you. At the October 26th council meeting, council approved the resolution for a $20,000 expenditure to engage a consultant for the campaign feasibility study. And following the township's purchasing policy, we were able to do it through a competitive quote process. We did receive 3 quotes. The parameters were laid out similar to an RFQ. We received 3 quotes, all within the time frame that they were requested. 1 quote did come in over budget, so we did eliminate that. The 2 others, I should say they were all very, very good companies and very excellent quotes. But there was one in particular that had a lot of experience with recreation facilities that also had a Y, as well as experience in our community, as in Lambton County with Lambton Shores. So we have selected Inspire to do the process of the campaign feasibility study.
Okay, and when will we expect that process to begin, Teresa?
Tomorrow. So tomorrow I'll be following up with all those that had submitted quotes and touching base with the representative Sue Eggles, because now we'll start the process of the plan, and further information will be coming from my meeting with her or touching base with her this week.
Okay, great. We will go to the FCM Green Municipal Fund feasibility study. Who's taking that one on?
I believe it's also me.
Okay.
So back in July, I believe it was July 27th, council approved 50% of the FCM municipal fund grant application. So in order to apply for the capital portion of the FCM grant, you have to have a feasibility study done, whether it gets accepted by FCM as a grant and that they pay 50% or not. We still have to do this process. And through the consultant that does our grant writing, we found more eligible expenditures. So we want to propose to increase that from 50% of, I believe it was 9,250 to the 50% equaling 13,250. To note that part of those expenditures, for example, $5,000 for sure is not will not be an expense unless we are successful. So we would not be on the hook for the full 26,000. We would be, sorry, I thought I had this in front of me, just a second. But we would be responsible for over 13,250, but it would not be the full portion of 13,250 times 2, if that makes sense. So it's at 26,500.
Okay.
And so what we're doing is bringing it back now that we've had the grant application completed, and we're ready to submit. We don't want to miss out on eligible expenses should it get approved.
Okay, Councillor White, you had your hand up. You're muted, Councillor.
So yeah, I'm just looking in the report. You said it's 13,250, and then there's a number of 18,500 if we're unsuccessful. So yes, that's the top end cost.
Yes.
If we're unsuccessful, if we are successful with the grant, we'll pay the balance of 13,250.
Yes.
To make 26,500.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks for clarifying my report, Councillor White.
No, I just
no, you did an excellent job, better than me.
Yeah, yeah. I'll
Councillor.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Councillor Morris, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. If we were approved and everything went through, what kind of grant money were you looking at here, Teresa?
So if I can let Trevor speak to that, because it's part grant and part loan. Trevor, do you mind speaking to that? Maybe you can't hear me.
You can answer it later. It doesn't have to.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, so it is a part grant, and then there's it's a great loan program. So it would be the combination of the two. And I don't know, Amanda, if you have anything to add to that.
Unfortunately, not that much more detail, other than that the feasibility study is a requirement to be eligible for the future grant/loan program.
But the grant/loan will be quite a bit bigger than the $26,000, I take.
Yes.
Oh,
It's
yes.
absolutely anticipated to have more of a financial reward. Yes, great question.
Okay, that's what I was getting at.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Councillor White.
Just one last question. This particular application for grants, loans, whatever, is outside of the other. It is nothing related to the grants that we went for already, or that we're suggesting to break the program up into, right? They're totally separate.
It's totally separate. This has nothing to do with resilience or ICIP. It is a completely separate grant.
Okay. I'll move we make the expenditure.
Okay. Seconded by Councillor Morris. Any other questions or concerns about that? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. And we're going to circle back. I did miss 5A of the staff reports, which is the capital fundraising campaign plan report number 3. And I believe that's Teresa as well.
Yes. And so as a follow-up to November 16th, we brought back further comments because the survey closed on the 17th. But I also included comments from meeting with the Rotary Club, the Optimist Club, and I do have a few more comments to add. The Watford Skating Club submitted an email today with some additional comments that aren't on the report. So if I could just add, they mentioned user groups, if there would be dry storage space, because of the majority of the user groups would like that. And I did respond to these, and there is storage space for user groups already in the plans. Just how it's going to be allocated hasn't been determined at this point. Question about or comment about fewer boardrooms, a larger space with room dividing capabilities, and could it save money? So currently, the 2 meeting rooms are actually also 1 meeting room. So it's 1 room that divides into 2. So we have that in place. And then has any consideration been given towards expansion with regards to the ice surface itself? We currently have a 180 by 80 rink, and most arenas where skaters compete or play hockey are at an NHL size, which is an 85 by 200. And was there anything in the long-term plan to address this? So those were a few more comments that were submitted today.
What I was wondering is it possible for the dry storage to be a rental space, like where the user groups are required to rent that space? Because there is a high demand for it. And I know our community center right now, the upstairs is being used by a couple of service clubs, is it not? And do they pay rent on that storage space? And can we charge rent on that kind of thing?
Anything is possible. And I do come from a facility where we opened, and it wasn't a huge rate, but there was a rental rate associated with all space. And then that way we had contracts in place in terms of reference to, I guess, make it easier to deal with if there were issues and you needed someone out of a space. But, you know, and I think when we come forward as part of the building project, is we'll be working on the administration and operations of the facility and looking at rental rates as an overall policies and procedures. And that'll be the time to really sort of look at these things.
Because there's a lot of groups that are going to want to use it, rent like storage space, right? So if you put a price on that, like it's worth a lot, storage space. I don't know how the rest of council feels about it, but.
Well, I think if you don't have some kind of restriction, certain groups would use a lot more than their share. Now the figure skating used to use above the bar and that up in the ceiling almost for costume storage. Do they still do that?
I can't speak directly to that, but I do know that they have a room here already. And one of the things they talked about in their email today was about costume storage.
Yeah.
They also use the bottom of the Centennial Hall over there. And they have quite a few costumes in there. They'll need space for that too. And I think we have to give our major users, minor hockey and the figure skaters, some room.
Yes.
We'd have an uproar if we didn't.
Councillor White?
I agree with the mayor that I think there should be a fee on that and agreements in place, because if there isn't, then it's assumed that it's just a right.
Yeah, why is the figure skating club entitled to it and not the Watford Youth Activity Center? You know, like you're gonna get into that.
And it reflects there is a cost to having that space that needs
Absolutely.
that has to be accounted for. Like,
I didn't think there was that much storage space in the new complex. I mean, you get tables and chairs and everything else in there.
It'll be in the arena when it.
So the storage space, yes, there is a storage that's associated with the multi-purpose room, partially for the Y, who is a tenant, and then for tables and chairs, so on and so forth. But there is the space that would be between the Parks and Rec office and the two meeting rooms, which I believe was originally considered for possibly like a council chambers, that has now been sort of thought of as a space for user groups to be able to for storage.
I think it's hugely required.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like I'm thinking in terms of, let's say, for example, the United Hope Church or whatever, they wanted to use one of the meeting rooms every Sunday. They needed space for all of the things that they brought in, then we rent them that space as well. Like it would be a cost to
If it's
them
available.
if it's available. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you want to have that as an option, right? So that people have that there. Okay, sorry. You can continue, Teresa.
Sorry, no, and I guess outside of those comments, the comments were all attached, and if there's any questions regarding them, I have discussed with Amanda that we'll be starting to create frequently asked questions. So we'll get those together, but we're not at that point right now. But you know, for example, on costing. So once the decision has been made as to sort of the direction that we'll be going in 2021 and 2022, we'll start creating those frequently asked questions. And I know, for example, this is prior to me joining the municipality, but for example, I noticed there were several pool questions. And so I will go back in the history books to, you know, we'll provide an answer for those questions.
Okay. Was there a recommendation attached to that report? Yes. So we just need a motion to receive and file, council. Moved by Councillor Westgate, seconded by Councillor White. Any other questions or comments with that? Okay, all in favor? That is carried. All right. We are on to 6A. So Kevin and Shanna, you are up.
Lights on. Okay. Did you want to put the slides on?
I'm gonna put the slides up, let me put the slides up.
Okay. Teresa, you control the slides or
No, that would be Amanda.
Amanda? You want to start with the slides and then we'll describe them and go through it?
Just working on it now. To confirm, this is the same presentation though, right, Kevin?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, I was worried for a minute. There you go. We're up.
Okay, this is a site plan showing the existing arena, which is gray shaded, and it shows the 3 additions to the arena proposed, and also the addition of the multi-purpose hall and fitness area and associated use, which is on the south side of the arena. It shows the development of the parking lot and the demolition of the Centennial Hall, which is in the middle of that parking lot. And you want to show us the next slide, please? This is the floor plan of the arena. On the north west corner, we were proposing to put a workshop. On the east side of the arena, we were adding additional dressing rooms because we are deleting dressing rooms from the front of the existing arena area off the lobby. We were further developing that with new washrooms, concession stand, a handicap washroom there, I think, or a multi-use dressing room, and some other associated rooms. A raised area for viewing the ice, and that would be the extent of the work in the existing building. We're also proposing to put fire sprinklers, which is a code requirement in the building, because when we add to the arena, it requires fire sprinklers. Next.
Can
Can we
we?
ask questions as we go,
we-
or do you
Yeah, I
want
was just gonna say, if
Well, questions now on each?
focus on each spot.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
problem.
Okay,
a couple of things that I had, I talked about accessible change room before, getting
Yes.
rid of at least one of them.
Yes.
And I noticed that was in the comments. And also in the comments that I wanted to talk about too was another entrance to that hallway. The way it is now, you go through the double doors and then got to make a 90 and go back through the curtain there.
To go into the arena?
That's by the stairway up to the top and the existing,
Elevator.
yeah. I think we should take that universal dressing room and turn it 90 degrees and make an entrance into the hallway by the mechanical room.
Okay.
Yeah. I could see that.
but then we would get rid of the flex space with the window, which is like a nice seating area for parents and
What are you looking out at?
it's just to have that natural light come in and to have like a seating area for parents when they come in.
You start carrying a hockey bag through them doors, there's a team coming out onto the ice and a team trying to get to their dressing room and a team
Yeah.
coming out at Silver Stick.
No,
So
I
you'd like to enter that corridor then, basically, eh? To the dressing rooms from outside? You'd like to go directly into the corridor, accessing the dressing rooms from outside?
no, from
I
the
wouldn't-
warm area.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
so they're saying, you
I
can
know.
you can see better here, they're saying blow a hole
Yeah.
through here, so you're just coming straight through. Are you saying eliminate the universal change room completely?
I don't know whether we can or not.
I think you turn it.
Well,
He's saying turn it.
I'm saying turn it 90 degrees.
290 degrees, will you have enough room to get through that?
You could make it a bit smaller. The universal change room doesn't need to be barrier free.
So it could be smaller.
It can be. It's just another change room for when you have
Different
someone of a
sexes on
different
the
sex on a different.
Yeah,
So the washroom could be reduced in size.
It was just us reusing a change room and saving costs by not taking.
if you
down the
could, if you could reduce it in size and still have a room into the hallway from there, I think it would make a big difference.
A wider opening,
Yeah.
right? And
Wider opening and you're going straight into the hallway and turning.
Straight
it doesn't need doors on it either because both spaces are heated.
That's right.
You could just walk through
We
that.
could probably do.
Or put a sliding door on if you want a sliding door.
Or a curtain like we have on the other one.
I agree with Councillor Westgate, like that does create quite a bottleneck, and if all the dressing rooms are there, it's gonna be even worse.
Right. Right now, you'd have to go through those two doors to the rink and now past the bleachers
Yes.
into that hallway, right?
And that's where one team will be coming on and off the ice.
That's right. There'll be a conflict there.
I think so.
No, that's not a problem. We can rework that area to make probably a 6-foot wide corridor there,
Maybe.
Yes.
5 or 6 feet, so it opens up. And you can have even a sliding door if you want one, or you can have a curtain.
Yeah.
I don't
Just
know.
including,
Will we still have the flex room? Flex space?
yeah, if they make that dressing room smaller, you will,
Okay, because I think that's important.
yeah. The other comment I had is instead of having a raised accessible deck there,
Yes.
like currently we have kind of a wood deck and stuff. If we could, is it possible to lower the boards in that warm heating area so that it's very similar to what Forest Legacy Center is, where
I
it's,
don't think they lowered the boards. I think they raised the floor.
They raise the floor.
Yeah, the boards are a certain height, 4 feet
Yes.
high. That's a regulation height. So I think what they've done is raise the floor in there.
oh, okay.
So that's
You've never
essentially
got
what we're
pounded
doing.
into the boards, have you, Jackie?
Yeah.
Oh, if you
I
lower the
have
board,
no desire to be pounded into the boards, Councillor.
And those boards don't give any. They're on a block wall.
Okay.
No, we can revise that. It's not a problem to give you access through to the dressing rooms, which is the core of the people to fall into they come in to play hockey, right?
Yep.
Right.
I think that's a really good idea.
It's a good point.
Yeah. Any other suggestions for this part of the renovation council?
Now, I would like to say that workshop is a very large area at the back. You could put some heated storage back there if you wanted additional heated storage in the arena.
Well, currently Watford Minor Hockey is using underneath the bleachers, are they not?
But that's not very conditioned space under the bleachers. It's not heated or cooled.
No, but it works for minor hockey.
Isn't it kind of musty? I don't think it's very well
Well,
ventilated.
What is the ceiling height on the new workshop?
It would match the height of the refrigeration or the Zamboni room. It'd be probably 18 feet high.
Okay, is it possible, because the stands are up high, to put a walkway and put a second floor on that workshop area?
You have to reinforce the Zamboni room.
Well, you've got to put stairwells in then too to access it.
No, you would. You'd come right off the existing walkway and put a new walkway across and walk right into the second story.
You mean across the end of the rink?
Yes.
We'd have to put new staircases in too for exits.
I don't think you're following me.
Yeah, I am. We did this in Stratford. They had
Yeah,
a
that's
walking track around the building. And
No, I'm just talking about
just
the
that second floor of the
the
storage area.
very west watching area. And it's about 4 feet wide. If
Right.
you put a walkway
Across
across
there.
the exit door into a second story.
Okay. And on the west side.
Yeah.
No, it's small enough, it can have a single.
Okay. So he's just saying right
Yes,
here.
on the west side, because I thought you were talking on the east side, because I thought you had a
No.
conflict then with the lift gate for the Zamboni and the overhead.
Yeah,
door.
but if you put a second
you can do it on the west
story
side.
on part of it,
You can put like a bridge across there, basically.
yeah.
Going
You
into
could
that.
have a
Putting a second floor, but giving the higher height of the, we'll have to restrict the size of the mezzanine. It can be, if it's an open or if it's an enclosed mezzanine, it can be 10% of the size of the room it's in. If it's an open
Yeah,
mezzanine,
that's not bad.
it can be 40%, but this will be enclosed. So
No.
we could take 10% of the area and put a mezzanine in there. So
Well, it's just an idea for
well,
storage.
it'd be additional storage for you. And it'd be conditioned space.
Yes.
I just wasn't trying to discredit your storage under the seats,
Yeah.
but I know on the east side, it's not very well sealed off. I think there's even chain link fencing in there, isn't there?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's really cold in there. It's not conditioned.
Just, I know how much storage room the figure skating club and the hockey actually use. I think like if we could put some up there for them, it would lighten the load for other service clubs in the new community hall.
Yeah, we will show you how big the 10% of the area is.
Okay,
On concept, just to show you.
all right.
We can do
If
that.
you had like the whole upstairs of that shop, that's a big storage area.
Then it becomes a second floor and it needs 2 stairwells.
Yeah,
You know,
I was trying to keep it
No,
simple.
here you don't need a stairwell like you suggested.
Right,
Go up the stairs of the bleachers and go
Yeah.
across a little bridge.
Yeah. I think it's
Okay.
a great idea.
And then it's got a mezzanine and it doesn't need exits to go directly outside and other issues.
no,
You know.
you could throw a couple windows in and you'd be.
Yeah, you can put windows out to the rink if you want to, eh?
Yes,
Can be a nice lounge up there.
but don't go there, we'll be in more trouble.
Amanda?
I just want to make a note that the storage space was designed with the over-door entrances to allow drive-through. So if a mezzanine or taking away any space that would limit the operational capabilities. And then also I would suggest would need to be secure if there is an addition made, because this will be a staff limited restricted area. There will be vehicles and municipal equipment stored there. So allowing public, even user group access, security would have to be a consideration. And then also things like running vehicles and CO, like all that kind of stuff. So I don't know, I know Teresa had some comments as this conversation was happening, but I just want to make that flag.
What kind of vehicles are you putting in there for height? Like, you need 12-foot high overhead doors? Like the backhoes and that kind of?
Yes,
Yes,
Are you gonna be putting a backhoe in there?
I wouldn't want to limit the space, right? Because especially because we don't know what our plans are as
Awesome.
per our previous conversation with Watford Shop and long-term needs. I would suggest that limiting the height may have impacts in the future that could be.
You would still have one door with full 18-foot height.
But that one.
Yeah, but you want it as a drive-through.
And what, yeah, it's intended for drive-through
Well, I guess
access.
that's what you decide, whether you want to have the drive-through or need the storage.
What about on top of the new accessible dressing rooms on the northeast side? Like same idea, but coming off of the walkway along the
then you're
top.
looking at snow loads, you're building the roof up higher, you're causing a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Okay. Just
I
a thought.
think.
Okay, no, that makes sense.
So did we talk ourselves out of the storage because of the vehicles driving through?
I think it's a staff. I think staff have to come first in that decision myself.
Well, can we
It has
get,
to work.
yeah.
It has to work for them.
Storage.
Yeah, like,
I think the comment about accessibility to the corridor is valid, and we will make that dressing room smaller, make a nice opening in there for the flow hockey players. And I think that's,
Is there somewhere in the upstairs of the arena?
we don't have a floor plan. We need a
I
second
don't have
floor
one
room.
on me yet.
There are several rooms up there, though. There was a meeting room. The opposite
Yeah.
from the kitchen is a meeting room.
But like, we wouldn't need as much space up there because we're gonna have the extra rooms to rent out
Right.
with the addition. I wouldn't want to take away the entire space, but you could I'm thinking between where the bathroom is and where the office is upstairs there, you could make that into rentable storage space. It would just be a matter of putting in a couple of walls there, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
If it's needed anyway. It's just a thought.
Want to move on to the next slide? Or?
Council, are we good for that area then?
mhm.
This doesn't show the entire thing.
No, we just did the front half, now we're doing the back half. It does show the whole thing.
Oh,
It's just the people's faces are blocking it.
okay. This is the floor plan of the proposed addition, multi-use building and fitness club. The left-hand side of the drawing there is the north end where it attaches to the existing building. There's a sliding door for access through there, but you would come in the front door and you would meet that, you could access the arena through there. Then in front of you, as you come into the building, is the YMCA fitness area. We actually have done a layout of equipment for that, I believe.
And they've provided us one.
And they've provided us one. There's an activity room
Oh, I already got it. Okay.
on the right of that. So
Activity room, and then there's the child minding room.
child minding room.
Those are all part of the YMCA program.
We can't see that.
Oh, I didn't do that. Did it disappear from everyone's screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's okay.
I'm thinking Amanda has disappeared, guys.
Okay. He also didn't mention when you come in, you've got the donor wall, just beside the entrance to the Y. Do you guys have questions? Even though we can't see the drawings right now?
Everybody has the drawings on your iPads, do you know
Yeah,
it?
I got them right here.
Yes.
Okay.
Then we have
So,
storage.
Let's let them ask the questions so we can go through some of the
You
stuff.
see, there is substantial storage there between the Parks and Rec office and the
Yes.
meeting
Yeah, there
rooms,
is.
so that's,
It's a large conditioned storage space.
and will that be able to be divided up into like lockers?
That's the
Yeah.
intention.
Yes, yeah.
Like caged areas.
Yes.
And rent
Yeah.
out.
For our user groups, is that what you're
Yes,
meaning?
that's what we were talking about, Colin, earlier, is that, you know, there's gonna be a need for storage. We're losing it from the Centennial Hall. So there was some discussion about the possibility of renting it for a small fee to the user groups just to make it fair, so that
Yep.
it's a paid, you know, depending on the size that you need and all of that.
So those windows there, you wouldn't actually be able to see in them. They're just for consistency on the outside of the building for looks.
Yeah.
We should probably put a second door into that storage room on the other end so we can divide it in half.
You could do that.
We had one and we actually removed it so that you could get more lockers in there.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Okay.
And on the storage room, you removed it?
Yeah, we had one on each end and we took it out so that you could maximize your locker layout in there.
The wall space,
So you could almost do like a loop around with lockers.
and then lockers in the middle space.
Yeah.
How wide
I
of
was-
a door have you put in? 36 inch?
Pardon?
How wide of a door into the storage room?
3'2". We could put larger if needed.
So minimum size by code is 3'2" now.
Oh, I see the numbers.
I see where you did it, but what we're probably gonna do is screen that off halfway down and put lockers across the screen on each side, but
And then you would need the second door.
I think we do, but we have two major user groups,
Right,
minor hockey and figure skaters.
so you split it in half, basically,
We
right?
split in half and say this is half and half.
That's not a problem.
But
Okay, we weren't sure if there was other like scouts or anything
well,
else.
you got scouts, but there's a whole bunch of other.
There's other,
Scouts has a big spot up there.
My hope would be to have the two major ones have their storage in the arena part, and then your scouts and your church groups or
Yeah,
Rotary, Optimist, like even the Optimist does a lot of their storage under the bleachers when they have like events, Silver
I don't
Star.
think the Optimists have much under the bleachers except for the bar.
Right, that's what I was thinking, because it stays cold
And
under
we
there.
want it under there.
I'm hoping to keep the storage for the ice user groups in the arena if we can.
That makes sense.
This
Yeah.
layout, you could have multiple lockers and then you could, even if it's two groups, they could rent multiple lockers from you.
Like in the Watford Youth Activity Club, they might end up just renting a storage unit or something because they don't really have the Centennial Hall as a home place.
Yeah, but
Unless
they have,
Decide to move to this.
they
new-
have their own building uptown, Jack, Mayor.
They do for now, but they don't have a lot of storage there. So I believe, Colin, do they not use upstairs at the Centennial Hall as well with the Scouts?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I
know
always
that
thought
Scouts has
that they had all their costumes up there. Heather's
Oh.
saying, yes, they do. Yeah.
Okay, yep.
Teresa, are you still with us, or Trevor? Like, have we lost all of our staff except for Heather? And okay, Teresa's still with us. Amanda's
here.
working on the problem, so.
I'm
Okay.
here.
Sorry, yes, I am still here. And Andrew is now the host of the meeting.
Okay.
You know, you could, as Councillor Westgate said, put that second door in. Nobody said you'd have to use it.
That's right, it can be left locked if you don't need it, yeah.
Like now is the time, and I agree with it.
Right.
We don't know how we're gonna configure that. Like, we may configure it in 4, I don't know. But now is the time to put it in, as he said.
Much cheaper to put it in now
Yeah,
when you build
that's
it.
a good point. Wayne.
I'd like to see it put in. I think he's got a good point, because we don't know how we're gonna line that up.
And those doors are wide enough for like accessibility wise, correct?
Yes, yeah, that's 3'2".
Okay.
Now, there is storage off the multi-purpose room and it's divided in two.
Mhm.
Okay.
So you move to the south, we're getting into the washroom, change room area. We've got a small lounge there. And then we have bar stools and viewing for the multi-use building or room along that corridor, which will have charging stations in it for laptops and devices and viewing of the multi-purpose room.
I don't know whose idea that was, but I love that. That little bar area with the big windows, like as a parent, that is aces. Like,
You can see that in the three-dimensional drawing at the end too, which is nice.
seriously. Todd?
We do have
Just
to
a
make
question.
one revision to it, though. We're gonna cut down, I think, 1 or 2 of the spots so they're accessible for wheelchairs.
Okay, that's a great idea too.
Between them, yeah.
Yeah.
Just a question about the windows. What type of covering do you have from the inside if you're having an event and you want it private? Like drape, like, do you have something to come down and cover those windows off?
We don't have anything included now. Now, if you want something in there and you're playing basketball and stuff in there, it should really be some kind of blind system inside the glass. In
Yeah,
between
it would
panes
be-
of glass, you know, so it's protected. They're tempered glass panels, but a blind could be put in the insulated glass unit. So it's protected on
That's not
both
cheap.
sides.
No, if you want privacy for non-sports,
Yeah. I think you do need private, if you want to have weddings and things like that.
okay, we can look into a blind system. We've installed those in other projects.
It's
Well,
multi-purpose.
they usually have to be like motorized blinds that retract up out of the way, so when you're playing sports, they don't get damaged.
Right.
That was
And they,
another question that I had is how is in that room, how are the basketball nets and things like that going to be configured so that if you did have a wedding, you're not sitting there at a reception under a basketball net? Like, is there gonna be a
Basketball
way that-
nets crank up to the ceiling, like you see them in school gyms. They're
Yeah.
cranked up, they're electrically operated and they crank up to the roof. The rest of the equipment gets taken out, the sports equipment, and stored in the storage room.
Okay,
So, quite often, weddings decorate the rooms themselves.
yeah,
We did the Stratford Coliseum or the Rotary Complex there. We had a multi-purpose room and they would come in for weddings and they'd hang white linens from the structure above down, tape them to the floor like room dividers and things. And they did a quite nice job decorating the space. It's always a compromise when it's a multi-purpose room. You know, it's not designed just for weddings and receptions, it's designed for sports. You know.
no, exactly. So
You know,
you
and,
want to make sure that,
Yeah, the walls in there are gonna be concrete block, but there'll be acoustic block above the man door, 7 feet height, which are actually a concrete block with slots in them. And there's insulation in those slots to help the acoustics of this room. Also, the roof deck will be acoustic deck, which means instead of normal 1.5-inch decking, it'll be perforated. And there'll be insulation in the flutes above to help the acoustics of this room. We wanted to do it. You'll see these in school gyms, the acoustic concrete block you've probably seen before. Without putting things in there can be damaged by playing sports. And that's, you know, you start hanging panels on the wall for acoustics. Somebody starts throwing basketballs at them, next thing they're destroyed. So we try to make things as robust and durable as possible, you know,
Right.
for that. And then it functions as a block wall too. So, I mean, I think it's going to be quite successful because you don't really want to put a ceiling in that hall at all. You're going to have skylights in there. You'll have LED lighting, and you know, it'll be all exposed structure above.
any other questions, council, about this area?
Now, we did make the kitchen larger. From
Let's
us.
focus on this area first.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you did or you didn't? Like the
We
last
have-
time? we had a
We
meeting?
have made the kitchen larger. We
Okay.
moved the wall. I think we gained 4 feet in the kitchen. We
Yep.
took it out of the covered area, which didn't increase any costs because the wall was being built anyway.
The covered area is beautiful though. I love that. I think that's going to be very welcome
It's going to be
addition.
utilized a lot, I think. And
Yeah,
it's really, really good for caterers to bring deliveries. you know, in inclement weather and such.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They can pack the van in there and unload it.
Okay. So the big question is how and when and how do we want to do this, council? So there's a couple of different options that we have. We could start with the arena 1 year. And then so in 2021, we start with the arena renovations, and hopefully maybe by 2022, we'll have more time to do the grant applications for the new build. Or we could start with the new build, which I don't know, fundraising wise, if we have it, like, I think that's what we want to really focus our fundraising efforts on. Wouldn't you say, Teresa? Is the new build?
Yes, I would agree with that.
That's what people are really going to want to donate towards. Councillor White?
What is the municipal project environment looking like for next year? Because this year, a lot of municipalities don't have money. I'm just wondering if Spreets could give an idea on.
We're waiting still for other grants to come out. Now,
Okay.
other municipalities or buildings that we've dealt with, a lot have been denied. But
Okay.
if they haven't been denied, they're hoping they're going to still get money.
Right.
Sort of like a negative impact. If you haven't been told no, you'd think there's going to be some kind of money. And I think federally and provincially, they got to put money back into the economy to turn it around after this COVID-19, to get people back working and such. So I think there may be another announcement of grants. I don't know if you've heard any more. Or...
What is the timeline for a project like this for the addition? So if we put off the addition till 2022, would it be built and ready to go by the election in October?
Well,
When the election
October.
is.
It'd be close. It'd be close, very close. You would start it probably the end of March. There's not much point in starting in the middle of winter. You're fighting elements and you're paying more money to heating things. And so unless you put the foundations in and backfilled it in the fall and left that part, you know.
I think it'd be done the following December.
Yeah, it'd be the end of that year.
December,
The end of that year.
January.
The end of that year. It'll be after the election.
Yeah.
Councillor White?
I guess going back to my other question, really along the lines, is there any benefit next year? Is the volume of projects getting bid going to be higher, lower, or the same as what's going on?
We don't
My
know.
sense was,
We
but
don't
there,
know yet
my
right now.
sense was that, oh, you don't know. Okay, you don't
No,
have
we've
an
had
indication.
some RFPs come out for services, and we've responded to them. We have a job out right now at the Native Reserve. We just put it out to tender. It was for a language school edition, and they had to spend the money before 31st of March. So we're just given the money like a month ago. You got to spend it by the 31st of March. And this goes back to this saying they talk about shovel ready.
Mhm.
And quite often when grant money comes up, if people are much farther along with their plans, they get the first chance of getting that money because it gets spent, you know. And
I've had 3 RFPs come across my desk in the last 3 weeks though.
yeah, we've had 3 RFPs. We have a job in Cambridge, Preston. It's an arena rink addition, another ice surface. And we've had it for quite a while, and they need additional money, and it's on hold right now. So I mean, we don't know. This is the problem, you know. And but
Did we lose Trevor?
Pardon?
I'm sorry, did we lose Trevor? Because
I'm still here.
okay,
Okay.
good.
So it is nice to put jobs out to tender the end of January, beginning of February. So it's the contractor's first jobs for the year. You get better pricing then. Once they've got 2 or 3 jobs under the belt, their prices tend to rise a bit. That's human nature, I think, you know, and in our past experience, that's what's happened. So
Councillor Morris and then Councillor Westgate.
The community asked for a new community center, plain and simple.
Well, you're replacing Centennial Hall basically, aren't you?
Yes, and we're giving them a multi-purpose facility that they said they wanted.
Yes.
I guess the question is, do we spend $10 million now, or do we wait and hope for a new grant? Personally, I think we should go ahead and do it. It'll never get cheaper, and once it's built, nobody can take it away from us. That's just my opinion.
Councillor Westgate.
I have two things. When could we have drawings ready for tender? You're
You're
on mute.
muted, Freites.
Oh, the end of January. We could put out the end of January, beginning of February.
Okay, thank you.
And whether you do the entire thing or you phase it, it doesn't make any difference to us at the stage we're at.
Personally, I think we should go ahead with the hall part. We can live with the arena the way it is. The people have said they wanted the hall. We can take $1 million a year from landfill money. They see something from the landfill. And I don't think it would hurt us a whole lot. We have some money in reserves to pay for now. We have that inheritance money we could put towards it. And we'd only have about 5 or 6 years and it's paid for. At
I agree.
$1 million a year from the landfill.
But with the, sorry, Councillor White.
I was just gonna say, I agree with Jerry, but I would rather just do the whole thing all at once, get her done.
The
entire project. Like, I
there's
think,
there's a couple of things with the arena renovation that Parks and Rec storage, they need that. That's a need. That's not a want. Accessible washrooms are a need, not a want. Like, there are some big needs in that renovation with the arena to be done, I think.
I wouldn't be against going ahead with it all like Councillor White says.
I just think as one big project.
Trevor, the grant money that we are, that 100,000 that is in the COVID relief can go towards this project, can it not?
Well, ideally you carve up this project. So if you carve out, let's say, the extension of the back room for storage, the COVID relief can go there. If you carve out the dressing rooms, I can use gas tax money for that. If you carve out the arena portion of it, I can use OCIF funding for that. So then if you have specific identified projects, you can allocate separate grants. You can't piggyback. So if you have one project, there's a problem.
Well, is that not treasurer semantics, though?
Yeah.
No.
you
One
can do
project,
that.
one project, but we price it, we
Can
build-
we are-
They'd all have to have separate SPREET numbers.
Can Spreet supply that?
You're muted, Spreets, just so you know.
I was, one thing
I
out
do
of,
that purposely.
one thing.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Out of,
I mean, it's that purposely.
out of interest, I just wanted to tell you this. I was at a public meeting in Lucan.
Should I mute him?
No.
No.
And somebody in the public stood up and they're looking at how much money they're going to spend on the arena. And they said at the time, they said, you know, you buy a house, you don't pay for it right away. You get a mortgage. And interest rates are low right now. There's nothing wrong with borrowing money to do things right now when you have the use of it in the next few years, you know, and that was this sort of jitsu. And everybody in the green room seemed to agree that in the municipal council said, yeah, you know, interest rates are low. If you have to borrow some, now's the time sort of to borrow it. And you get the use of this building in the next year, you know, next 50 years. And it's worthwhile. So,
Great.
So
That's
Kevin, you
just
can
what I got
provide
from the
different
house.
street numbers. Kevin,
Yeah.
you can provide different street numbers to break apart the project.
You can break the project apart into pieces.
we can.
Thank
The
you.
arena part is one section and the other one's the other. And
Well, it might have
we
to be
could actually,
some subsections in the arena though. There might have, can you take direction from Trevor on what has to be broken down?
we could,
Even if it's the public
Bill.
works, storage is one and the dressing rooms are another and the bathrooms are another, if he has to.
You
get
may
the
have to
funding.
break it down into sub-bills. Is
well,
that
yeah,
possible?
we could split up the tender form.
That's it.
Thanks.
That's all he's asking then.
Yeah, because what's gonna happen is their audit trail will go back to having a separate street number. That's it.
Good.
Okay,
Counselor Morris, you've had your hand up.
Yeah, unless I'm misunderstanding, I thought what Trevor had told us, we have an opportunity for the same grant we got turned down. I don't want to take put it all together and lose an opportunity for $1 million. That would pay our new salt shed.
Well,
No,
you got an opportunity for ICIP CCR Phase 2 in late 2021, 2022, depending on when they open the window, but you can't break ground.
yeah,
No, but we didn't have to with the arena expansion. If we built just the hall and put the arena expansion off, we'd be shovel ready, but we might get $1 million.
But there's stuff that has to be done in the arena
Just the sprinklers,
before the hall can be put on to the extension.
just the sprinklers.
yes.
Now you can talk.
You have to put the fire sprinklers in the arena when you
Yes.
put the addition on. That's the minimum amount of work you have to do.
Todd?
Just a question about Councilor Morris's question. Are we saving, like, I'm just throwing this out there, Wayne, just to
Yeah.
just to ask Trevor a bit. Is there a risk that, okay, we put something off and really all we've done, we get a grant, but the costs have gone up, so we really don't gain anything? I'm just saying.
And that does happen. I can tell you, in the farming community, the provincial government came out with grants for manure storage. And all of a sudden, the cost of manure storage doubled. So the farmers did not save anything. The guys that built the manure storage got all the money. It does happen. He's right.
This is a very big grant.
Well, it is a very big grant. The one thing I've been saying is we do our operating budget based on CPI year-over-year increase. We do our capital budget based on CPI construction year-over-year increase. And that runs at about 6% or 3 times regular CPI. So you're looking at it might go up 6%, but then you come back down to basic economics, supply and demand.
Yeah.
And I can't answer that. I think up until recent times, I was very confident that we would have strong grants. And I think we had a damn strong grant that went in for the ICIP. However, there is so many people that are ready. I would say wait and do it in phases, but now you're just delaying the inevitable. And if the commitment to the community is to go forward and build it, money's cheaper than probably what you're gonna possibly get in a grant.
Mhm. The rental of money is cheaper, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Gary?
My question to Trevor is, if we go ahead, can we afford it?
You can afford it. I would recommend that you tell me to start negotiating with Infrastructure Ontario. Their construction rates are 0.66 and their serial grant, I believe, is 2.41 over 25 years, and you allow me to do that.
I don't think we need it over 25 years. I think we need it over 10.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we can do it over 10.
But can you have it so that you can make balloon payments, Trevor? Like, can you
That's
have
what
it?
I'll
open so that every
I'll
year
discuss with them to see whether or not we can do annual balloon payments.
What I like to do is you stretch it out for 25 years and then pay it off in 10 with doing the balloon payments. So you're doing those, the balloon payment is all going towards principal and not interest.
Yep, I will have to do some research on it, but if we can do balloon payments, I would suggest you go for 25 years. If you can't do balloon payments, you do it 10
Yeah.
and take the
I agree with that.
Take the
'cause then you're
benefit.
not locked in if something happens either.
Well,
Yeah, then you're
for
then
25
you're not.
years, if you have an emergency come up, you have cash.
Yeah,
That's
and
right,
you
you're
don't
not
have to do the balloon
Well-
payment that year. Yeah.
Can you not, if you go over 10 and you have emergencies coming out, you either borrow more money or make the term longer?
I'd have to renegotiate at that time, and I think there'd be
I think
significant fees on that unless we have borrowing capacity. We have borrowing capacity right now.
And really good interest rates, guys. Like
money is affordable.
seriously.
Wayne's got his hand up there.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Wayne.
all right. Trevor, we had talked the other
Really long day, guys.
talked the other day, but we already owe money on the arena. If we agree and we went for the whole project, wouldn't you pay an old debt off, or would you just keep it?
My recommendation is we will engage the construction loan next year. I expect a surplus from this year's operations to be roughly the same as the surplus we did last year. And rather than invest that surplus, as I recommended, into further long-term investment vehicles, you retire the debt that we owe ourselves for the fire trucks and I believe the arena accessibility. Then you
Yes.
only would have the long-term debt for the sewage lagoons, which are being financed through the rates
And
as your
Warwick.
outstanding debt. That way you only have two long-term debts.
Mhm.
And I think you could do that with next year's surplus, to be honest.
That sounds like a good thing.
We want,
I think the
we
public
want,
would rather see it over 10 years than 25, but maybe that's just my opinion.
Let's see if we can do balloon payments. I agree, 10 years. If I could do 5, I'd do 5. But I'd rather not be pigeonholed in case we have further issues because there's other pressures for capital dollars that are going to be coming down the pipe in the near future.
Okay.
could we have the most intrusive stuff with the arena done over the summer? Like the washrooms and the stuff in the lobby is what I'm thinking.
There you go.
The stuff in the arena could be done, so it's ready for September.
That's what I was hoping.
We prioritized that work, that was done, ready for September.
Yep.
And we've got to maintain access to the arena while we're building the addition. So we're gonna have to show temporary access to the arena, because we're building right up against the arena.
Yeah.
So we'd have to maintain access.
I still like option B. I'd love to get a grant from the government next year.
I'd love to get a grant too, but if your target is for opening before the next election period, I think it's
next year.
I think
I
it's an
don't think
exercise in
that-
futility.
We do have other projects in the community that we could apply for that grant, like the Watford Fire Hall needs accessible washrooms. It needs accessibility. If you got the grant, but then I guess you'd have to be shovel ready for that, wouldn't you? I don't know. Todd?
Yeah, I just, my gut's telling me that grants are not gonna be there. The government's been printing money all year. They're still printing money now. And they're gonna have to pull back somewhere. And
At some point.
I don't see how they can do grants. I really don't. Like I think my gut is telling me it's futile to wait because there isn't anything there to wait for, is what I'm feeling.
My
Yeah.
understanding is half the dollars that were sitting in reserves for infrastructure grants prior to COVID have been given out.
Hmm.
There's still half the money available.
Right.
That's prior to COVID and the free fall of grants from that point in time.
And
I agree with Councillor White, that money is, where's that money's gonna
Oh,
go?
yeah.
It's gonna go to the places that need it.
yeah. And are we viewed as needing it?
And that's the thing. Should we
That's
get,
why I said we would never get this last grant.
Yeah. Yeah.
you were right, Jerry. He's been waiting for years for me to say that.
I just think there might be an opportunity to foregoing the grant, we may get a lot better pricing getting it done next year. Like as one big project, not piecemealing it. Pricing it so that we can apply the best that we can apply. And it gets done.
That's smart.
It gets
I think.
done. We've been talking about this for what, 10 years?
It needs to be
Or
done,
more.
boys. Girls.
I know we're looking at a lot of other things too for spending money that may have to be pulled back a little bit, but this is something that maybe we made the mistake of promising the community it.
Well, I think it's also something that new inhabitants to our community will love to see and
I agree.
expect to have. So, yeah.
Is there a motion on the floor, guys? Todd,
I'll move, I think it's option 1 to go ahead with the whole project, given that Spreets can deliver billing the way we need it, so that Trevor's happy. And that we put it as one project that gets started next year. And it goes out to tender as of the end of January.
do we have a seconder to that motion? Councillor Westgate?
I do have some discussion.
Yes.
What about raising money? Is that going to give us time?
We're gonna start the fundraising, I would say in the spring. Would you
Yeah.
say that's realistic, Teresa? And I think we can do fundraising while the project's being done, can we not? That's,
Yeah.
Okay,
we want to hit our fundraising goal around the same time as you're cutting the ribbon.
Completion, yeah.
I
Yeah.
know it's easy
I
to
think
raise
it's like-
money if you have drawings and something happening.
Yes,
Yep.
yep.
I don't know. I'm
The
still
community start seeing it come together, they get more excited about it.
having a hard time swallowing 248,000 for a workshop. I don't know. Just
That,
I think that you could build a whole drive shed, a heated drive shed cheaper.
Andrew, can we take out of the budget the repairs to that shop? If it's built right away, if that's part of the priority?
If it's done by the end of next summer.
Like in the 2021 budget, there was the roof and the door to the public works shed. Or am I asking, should I be asking Teresa?
Public Works will still need that shop.
Yeah, the addition to the arena is Parks and Rec.
Okay,
Okay.
it's not. So,
Yeah, that's not for any Public Works
okay.
stuff.
Teresa, can you speak to the need for that space?
Sure. So not unlike the users looking for storage space, we're also losing Centennial Hall. So we require storage for items that we're losing space for. So for example, Christmas decorations would be one of those examples. And then the thought is that with the long-term plan and the service delivery review, depending on which way it goes, if we can add space to an existing building so that Parks and Rec has a place for all of their equipment, so lawnmowers, trucks, vehicles, be able to wash them, service them, all of our tools and equipment. So then now we have a workspace plus a storage space for all the items that we use or that are used in the community.
Okay, thank you. Amanda?
Thank you. Just to add to that point from Teresa, I also want to state that the workshop proposed at the arena also would help address existing storage shortfalls at the Watford shop. So we currently have rental units or maybe more than one to accommodate that joint storage space that's used by Public Works and Parks and Recreation. So this really would just give a little bit more breathing room at that Watford shop location for Public Works sole future use. I just want to point that out.
Okay. Anything else, council? We have a mover and a seconder to this resolution. I'm going to call the question. All in favor?
Go.
That is carried. That's exciting, guys.
Yeah. That is exciting.
Mhm. All right.
And Trevor's still alive. He's still in his chair. He's good.
He's still alive.
I just need direction to start conversation with Infrastructure Ontario.
Can I give that too?
Sure can.
Yeah.
So Todd, and then seconded by Wayne. All in favor? Okay.
And did anyone win the lottery last night, or should we buy $1 million worth of tickets and hope for 50?
As soon as I win, I'll have my Township of Warwick check written.
All right, and we have some bylaws here. Amanda, do you want to go over those?
Sure. Moved and read a first, that bylaw number 107 of 2020 be read a first and second time.
Moved by Councillor White, seconded by Councillor Mitchell. All in favor? That is carried.
Read a third time and finally passed. Bylaw 107 of 2020.
Moved by Councillor Morris, seconded by Councillor Westgate. All in favor? That is carried. Adjournment.
Great meeting.
Moved by Councillor Mitchell, seconded by Councillor Morris. All in favor? Congratulations, Council. That is a 10-year decision that was made.
Excellent.
And I think it's going to be a huge asset to our community.